we all have those moments at work when things just don't come together.
They don't gel. They don't line up well.
But you just got to push through.
We got to push through. And here at the Unknown Morning Show, we recently did an episode where
we had a plan.
We thought everything lined up.
And we thought we were, on the rails until we weren't.
So it's not like we're the locomotive that's crashing down, that's on fire, that's exploding. Had some difficulties. So please bear with us and enjoy the upcoming episode of the Unknown Morning Show.
Okay, here we go.
Test.
Roll music.
Let's roll it.
Welcome to the Unknown Morning Show.
It's the show where we explore radio,
podcasting,
TV,
gear,
gearheads,
and making money with a hot mic and other stuff too.
This is the Unknown Morning Show.
I'm Mandee Montana.
And I'm Chuck McKinley.
What do you want to talk about as I eat my peanut butter cookie?
Well, are we rolling, by the way?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're rolling.
I'm embarrassing myself by chewing a peanut butter cookie on the microphone.
That's okay. I mean, I've got...
It's real. It's real and raw here in the studio today.
It's a nice... Yeah, and it's Saturday. We're kicking back. It's a nice peanut butter cookie. Mm-hmm. My wife was animated.
Thank you, Rosie.
Thank you, hon. And she shared the recipe, which was... She held up this vat of like 3.5 pounds of Jiffy peanut butter and said, it's this, eggs, some sugar, no flour, and they hold together perfectly. So I have no acumen for baking whatsoever.
No?
I have an acumen for consuming baked products.
Yeah, me too.
I was thinking about, we're kicking around stuff and this, when we talk about the Unknown Morning Show, it's gear, gearheads, me, you, radio, whatever, and then there's stuff, and this kind of falls into that category.
Whatever and stuff.
It's stuff, and I was thinking about stuff.
What were you thinking about?
The other day.
Stuff.
Earworms.
Oh yeah.
Things that go around in your head forever and ever and ever, and it can be a variety of things. Music. I had a couple things. I don't. Sometimes you start playing on YouTube, and then the same thing pops up. Kind of, or you get the same mixture.
Yeah.
For a while for me, it's been like West Wing scenes. They'll have like 5-minute clips of West Wings and stuff like that. I just think
that doesn't show up on my YouTube channel. Maybe because I haven't searched for it.
You don't do that.
No, but I
What is on yours?
But I want to now.
But what would be on you? Okay.
I'm going to embarrass myself if I tell you the truth.
No. Well, this is an embarrassment-free zone, isn't it? I think.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so.
Okay.
So no judgment.
No judgment from me.
No judgment from the listeners.
No, none whatsoever.
I'm just telling you now, you are not allowed to judge me on this.
You can't judge.
And if you're going to judge me, just fast forward because you can do that on a podcast.
And if it's music we're talking about too, I would think
it's not music.
But I was saying if.
Oh, if.
But we're going to take a step back.
Okay.
And we're talking about things you were searching on YouTube. So what is it? Do you have anything?
Yeah, of course I do.
Well, you did a pregnant pause, so I didn't know what to do. I don't like pregnant pauses.
3 things are showing up on my YouTube right now.
Yeah.
Manifestation audio. You're looking at me with like your eyes.
What's that?
Yeah. So affirmations, positivity, basically telling yourself the good things about yourself, telling yourself about the things that you want in the future.
What is the structure of something like that?
It's generally someone with a pleasant voice with some lovely soft background music behind it.
That could be us. That's another side gig.
I mean, it could be. I've actually considered it.
You're going to have a good day today.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of.
Well, actually, it should be you're going to have a good day today. Experience today. Have a good day. Embrace the challenge.
Be present.
Be present.
Be aware.
Be aware.
Yes. Be grateful.
Be grateful.
Be loving. Be kind.
Be kind.
Yes,
be a
all
nice
of those
person.
Things. Yep. So there are some thought teachers out there. Whether you agree or disagree, like or dislike these people, these are some of the people that I have followed over the years. Tony Robbins, Dr. Dwayne Dyer, Gabrielle Bernstein, Mel Robbins, a variety of people who have authored books. They're public speakers, kind of life coaches in a way, but essentially giving you some tools for life that you may or may not have gotten at home. It's a big business.
Yeah.
And it's basically the business of personal development. And so I have always and you can tell me if you think this is true, but I have always tried to be a little bit better each day, each week, each
That's
year.
why we get along. Me,
I like to learn.
I can be stagnant. I'm good with that.
That's not true. That's not true. But you know what I'm saying. I'm in the pursuit of becoming a better human.
Well, sure.
And I want to be kinder. I want to be more loving. Not that I don't think that I'm kind and loving, but I think that there's always like just a little bit more that we can do, or to be in service of others, or find a way to, if there's something that I'm interested in, I make it a point to tell people about it. If I learn something about, here's an example. I was helping a friend with some gut health products. She and I were talking, we were chatting about life. Turns out we both have frizzy hair.
Oh.
So I told her about a hair care product that works for me too. Absolutely no commission ever going to come from that, whatever. It's a big name company. But when you live in East Texas and you have curly hair,
well, sure,
you're going to have some frizz issues. And if you've ever seen the Friends episode with Monica where her hair expands like 4 times,
yes,
this is the moment we were laughing about together on the phone. And I was like, I have a product that I think can help you. I'm going to send you a picture.
So you have frizz issues.
I have frizz issues. Anyway, my point is I try to be helpful to people. I try to be kind. I try to be caring. So I have a tendency to see those kinds of things pop up on my YouTube channel. Now that I've said that, the other thing that comes up that I think will give you a big laugh and that you will appreciate is Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling.
Well, sure.
Interviews with them, clips from movies that they've been in. I think both of them are, they're actors that I admire. I admire their choices in the films that they've done. I think that they are interesting interviews.
Nice people.
They appear to be nice people. And they do, from what I've read and seen, they both do a lot of things off the radar too.
How much? Yeah, because you don't hear negative stuff about them both.
Correct.
You don't.
Yeah. They're both Canadian too. Not that I have an affinity for Canada, really, but it's just interesting.
I thought he was an Aussie.
I said Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds, yeah.
And Ryan Gosling.
Oh, Ryan Gosling. Okay.
I did not mention Hugh Jackman.
No.
But lately he has been popping up in tandem with Ryan Reynolds due to Deadpool and Wolverine.
You know what?
So,
and
yes.
I just filled in the blank mentally. Yeah.
He is an Aussie. Yeah. I do also like Hugh Jackman.
They both do a really good job on the...
He's just a little bit old for me.
He's what, about 55 now? Something like that?
I don't know, but both Gosling and Reynolds are only about 4 or 5 years older than I am. Yeah.
All right.
Maybe 9. Gosling's closer to my age. Reynolds, I think, might be closer to my husband's
I think
age.
they're both British Columbia guys, too, aren't they?
I am not good at geography. I know Canada, and I know Toronto, and I know Vancouver, and I know that they are on opposite sides.
Well, you know, they had the thing. They had the thing, right, where you have, Ryan Reynolds owns Wrexham.
Yes.
And Wrexham was doing a tour of Canada. I don't know if it's North America or just Canada, but they were in...
I think Reynolds is from Vancouver.
Yeah. And they were in Vancouver. Uh-huh. The team was in Vancouver, and they beat the Vancouver Whitecaps of Major League Soccer. This was a couple of weeks ago.
I did see that on his social media because I follow him. I feel like we're friends now. I'm sure that a million other people feel the same way because he's really good at what he does.
Well, did you press the I heart and all that?
Yeah, I heart his content all the time.
He knows who you are.
I'm sure.
Maybe he'll be on the show.
Maybe one day in my dreams. And maybe his lovely wife, Blake, will join him. I mean, I think she's fabulous too.
This is, what is that? Not This Is Us.
It ends with us.
It's Us is in there. Mm-hmm. Ends with us. I've heard a few interesting comments on the show because they say that her and the gentleman that
Justin Baldoni,
they don't get along. And I guess have you read about that?
I have read about it. I'm not sure if it's a marketing stunt or if it's true.
Because it sounds like what happens is when they're never interviewed together, mm-hmm. and when they get an interview with each of them, it's like they talk about different aspects of the show entirely.
Yes.
He's like the anti-Glenn Powell. Like Glenn gets along with everybody.
Yeah, I think Glenn's a pretty smart dude. I don't know much about.
Get him here.
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, he can join my YouTube
list
as well. He's quite attractive.
I find him attractive.
Yeah. Justin Baldoni. It's interesting, the whole thing with Blake Lively. Do you know much about the film content? Do you know what the movie's about?
I don't.
Okay, so it's based on a book.
Okay.
Written by a woman named Colleen Hoover.
Who's from East Texas, right?
She's from, I believe, Mount Pleasant.
Okay.
Like Northeast Texas. I could have that wrong, but I think
you know what?
It's
Mount Pleasant because I saw something on it yesterday because she was in town, or at least in East Texas recently.
So she's written a number of books, and she's risen in popularity quite a bit in the last couple of years. I know a lot of my contemporaries on social media have been reading all of her novels, and they post about them. Well, this particular book and some of her books, they have some dark content in them. This book specifically has some abuse in it. There's abuse between the two main characters.
Okay.
And some navigation, and I think there may be some generational issues, hence the title, It Ends With Us.
What is navigation? When you said navigation, I don't understand what that meant.
Meaning like therapy, communication, trying to resolve.
All right.
And I haven't read the book and I haven't seen the film, so I don't actually know the whole story. My thought process on this is someone who's observing from the outside and doesn't know the ins and outs of it, is that I could see how being a part of a film with that type of content, when you're really invested in the making of it,
sure,
that there could be some difficult dynamics between the people playing those characters if they're saying hurtful things to each other, even if they're in character.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like if I were to, in character, acting, say really difficult, mean things to you, that would probably not sit well with you. And same for me receiving it from you.
I'd be saying no cookies for you.
Right. No more peanut butter cookies for Mandee.
What are you going to do with this cup of coffee? I'll tell you.
So, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I wasn't there. And like I said, I don't know the whole content of the story. But just from what I've heard, it's pretty difficult stuff. And we're humans. And I've never been an actress. I didn't really participate in theater, although I feel like that's something that I probably wish that I had done.
I think you would have been good at it. You seem like, it seems like you have the part of you that would study the character, break it down, and deliver it.
I have a deep appreciation for storytelling, and I think that actors are storytellers.
Yes.
So, yes. I don't know that I would have been incredibly talented at it because I never tried. Who knows? Maybe I'll try civic theater one day. I don't know. But I could see, though, that even when you're acting and you're taking that on, to be present, to take on a character like that, I feel like you're taking on a lot of that emotion.
Yeah.
To really convey it well, that's got to sit with you. And what it brings to mind, and I know we've mentioned this actor on the podcast before, is Heath Ledger.
I was going to say that.
And his portrayal of the Joker,
yes.
and how it really, I think it led to his death.
Sure.
I really believe that. I mean, it's a difficult, it was a really difficult character to play. And I've been impressed that Joaquin Phoenix has handled it the way he has. And, Jack Nicholson, of course, back in the late 80s and 90s, his portrayal. But it's the way Heath Ledger played it. It was dark.
It was dark.
Really dark.
It was real.
It was committed.
Because the Jack Nicholson version was
playful.
Like cartoon.
Yeah.
Cartoon stuff.
Yeah. Tim Burton, totally different style.
Exactly.
Then, is it Nolan? Chris Nolan that
Christopher
directed?
Nolan. And Christopher Nolan makes fantastic movies.
He does.
He and his brother.
He does. And so,
His wife, too, for that matter.
Totally different tone.
Yeah.
Anyway, but so I could see how that might happen. But I've wondered, because this was a low budget film, too. I mean, Blake Lively, not a low budget actress, not married to a low budget actor.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds, telling you, the businessman, he's pretty freaking brilliant. There's some other things I'd like to share about him as well, but this was a small budget movie that I think maybe have been a little bit of a passion project for her choice in doing it.
Sure.
And so to get it to have attention, especially when, her husband's releasing this mega blockbuster of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Kind of at the same time.
Close to the same time.
Yeah.
How do you keep people talking about it? Well, what if I unfollow you on Twitter? What if I unfollow you on Instagram? Are people going to think that we're actually mad at each other? And will they continue to talk about it for 2 weeks after? You're not paying for that kind of advertising.
I forgot the name of the movie that Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney did. It was that rom-com last year.
Oh, yeah.
And so the big comment to a lot of people had when they would see them in interviews is, my God, they act like a couple and, yada, yada. And it was common knowledge at the time that she was engaged or is engaged. Mm. And they both said, we're selling a rom-com.
Right.
And he has this uncanny ability, because I've seen some interviews with, I forget the other actress, but and now my mind is playing tricks on me, but it seems like he has a really good ability.
You're talking about his Twister co-star?
Yeah. Daisy Edgar Jones. They get along. It doesn't seem fake at all.
He seems like it would be hard not to get along with him. He seems very charismatic.
Sure. And he's been doing the business a long time. Mm-hmm. So, and you were talking about, passion project. I mean, you have something like that, besides wanting to get eyes on it, you're also going to have all the emotions that go with it. Because if it doesn't do well, or if it does well,
yeah, for sure. I mean, not unlike other people with passion projects, like us with this podcast,
sure.
Or, if someone's like learning to fly, if they're learning to become a pilot or something, like there's a lot of invested time and money and resources and things like that. And so, you've got emotions tied up in it. I
mean, look at it. Like you were talking about our podcast. I mean, as much as we're having goofing around and having a time here, the reality is, maybe this afternoon I'm sitting looking at this and editing and going, well, what stays in, what stays out? How do we want to do this? What are we looking at time, et cetera, And
also the reality that my alarm went off at 6 a.m. on a Saturday because I choose to come up here and meet you at 8 o'clock and have some coffee before we get started. And then, oh man, we just had the loveliest interview. I mean, this will air prior to the interview airing. But we had a lovely interview with John Moore, and I'm excited for that episode to come up. He's just an incredible East Texas broadcast legend. We've talked with so many of them already. We hope to continue to talk to more. But, this is a treat. It's also a commitment.
Sure.
We talked a lot with John about kind of the nuts and bolts of radio, specifically of like owning a broadcast station and what goes into, creating content for and producing and, being the talent of a radio show.
Yes.
It's similar with this.
Oh, yeah.
This is not something that we've kind of joked about it off mic. We might have mentioned it once or twice on the podcast, but it's like 94% of podcasts don't make it to a 10th episode because people don't realize that you've got to actually have content and commitment and the editing and then, just consistency.
And sometimes, you sit there or I'll sit there, to be honest, I'll get home and I go, well, do I want to edit? Or I don't feel
fair
like
question.
It. Yeah. Well,
fair.
Yes. I mean, I had a stupid thing happen a couple of weeks ago where I'd hurt my shoulder and somebody said, well, how'd you do that? I said, well, here's the deal. Never take two legs and put them in one pant leg. I said, it's just not really, I wouldn't recommend it.
I don't recommend.
Oh man, I splattered all over my office and I was trying to get up and I was like, oh gosh, for about a week, I was walking with my arm pinned to my side and with a sling. And, it's gotten better, but still sometimes it talks to me a little. I'm like, never, ever, ever do that again. Ever. But,
those manifestation audios about being present and aware. I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing.
Where were they when I needed them? Come on, man.
And now you know why I listen, so I can be present that I'm putting one leg in each pant leg as I get dressed.
The odd thing is I would always tell people, unless the hand that I edit gets affected, and strangely enough, the nerves in my left hand, because I'm using the keyboard, they get irritated. And the first couple of days, I had to physically lift it onto the table. I was like, geez. But
hey, I've got some friends, and I this is kind of a plug, but it's also just totally real and relevant.
Yeah.
I've got some wonderful people I could recommend to you at Hand and Stone Massage and Facial Spa that could probably help with some mobility. Yeah. They do stretching in addition to massage.
Okay.
And can help. It's not exactly physical therapy, but I recently went in. They have this new technique that they're doing called a sports massage.
Okay.
And it helps with mobility. And if you tell them, it's all connected. So last time I went in, this was like a light bulb moment, and also like, that makes sense for Mandee. I have a tendency to sit kind of hunched over because I'm reaching for a keyboard or because I've got my smartphone in my hands.
Okay.
And so my shoulders tend to roll forward and in.
Okay.
I think with women, we're carrying extra stuff in the front too. Sometimes that's just normal.
Yes.
That said, our shoulders tend to hurt or be tense.
Yeah.
But it's not just our shoulders, or so I'm learning. My massage therapist taught me it's actually underdevelopment of my pecs. up close to my collarbone.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So if that muscle is underdeveloped and underutilized, it creates tension on the opposite side. So for you to say that you fell and hurt your shoulder, but your nerve ending in your fingers is a little off, you could have some stuff going on in your arm too,
well, I told
all the way.
And I told Roseanne, I said, okay, let's say we're both hockey fans. So I said, it's kind of like if I'm sitting there and I drove straight into the boards right with my shoulder. Yeah. But it's like the first week it was hard to put a shirt on. And I usually just wear T-shirts and pullovers, and I can't right now.
Is that why we're wearing the button down? It looks very nice.
I'm wearing a button down. I
am too.
It's because I'm on the injured reserve list right now. I'm on the IR.
Hey, I'm actually dressed in Stars colors today. I just realized this. Speaking of hockey, when does hockey season start?
I think
September, October.
I want to say October because they go to camp in September.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and this year, and just a quick side note on that, Bally Sports, I believe, will not be doing Stars telecast, and the Stars have their own app that they're going to put out. So, and it's free.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I'm excited about this.
I'll make sure you get the link because it's one of those things to where when it's going to be published, it should go on your smartphone or TV so you can just, pull it up and.
Thank you, Dallas Stars. I've been missing. Okay, I was not a hockey fan until I knew Chuck.
Yeah.
For listener awareness.
We would do quizzes. Who's Brett Hull?
Yes. Yes, we actually there's
Mike Madonna, restaurateur or center?
Center. Which honestly, I knew Mike Madonna from the Mighty Ducks. I mean, he was a Minnesota North Stars featured in that Disney film back in the 90s. So I won't say I was totally hockey ignorant. I really loved that little franchise of the Mighty Ducks back in the 90s, but then had no reason to follow hockey after that until, the Stars won the Stanley Cup in the late 90s. And I had friends that I was in band with that would show up in their Stars jerseys.
Band camp.
Yeah. Oh, we're not going there. But yes, my friends were fans of the Dallas Stars. And so I was kind of like, well, that's kind of cool. I don't really know what that is. And then I go to work with Mr. Chuck McKinley, and he's a huge hockey fan. And he taught me some leadership lessons based on.
Always lead with your right. No, I don't know.
I'm talking about our Stevie Y conversation. Mandee acted out at work one day in a big way. I popped off at my boss. I got too comfortable and complacent and disagreed about something, and I raised my voice. And
to who? To me?
It was either you or Jenny. I can't remember which.
It wasn't me.
Well, I think I may have raised my voice about Jenny to you, something. Anyway, it was inappropriate. And one of the leadership lessons that I learned early from Chuck McKinley, the way he handled it was I just have so much respect for. At the time and now, even more so now. You said,
yes,
we're going to revisit this. This was on a Friday. We're going to revisit this tomorrow morning. You're going to meet me here at the station, 9 o'clock. I'll have some coffee and we're going to talk about this. And then you told me the story of Stevie Y and how he handled things in his locker room. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
You really don't remember this?
This
left such an impression on me. You talked about how he led with quiet leadership, that he didn't have to get in there and rant and rave and shout at people.
Oh, well, no.
And that you also were going to choose to follow those principles, and that while you appreciated what I had to say and you were happy to listen and hear me out, that I didn't do it in a professional manner. And that we were going to sit down and have a conversation about how that was not going to happen again.
Well, my belief, and
you didn't write me up. You had a conversation with me.
Well, no,
about
I didn't think that wasn't something to be wrote up about. I didn't feel, but I wouldn't have felt that. The other thing too is, and I feel this too, and it happened as a program director. My feeling would be, or anything, if something happens and you have a flashpoint experience where you're just going to, lose it. My feeling is a good night's sleep will cure a lot. Mm-hmm. It'll cure a lot. You'll see things differently, and you'll maybe say, I don't even have to address this. It's like myself and my broadcast partner, Jared Jones. I mean, he's been on the air steady for us probably, I'm going to think 14, 15 months, a little after John Sims passed. And, initially, we would have like 30-second conversations about the newscast. Watch this, watch that, good cast. And now basically the joke is Well, two things. Good newscast, and I've got to go to the bathroom. We'll see you tomorrow.
Well, yeah, but he's found his way, and I found my way pretty quickly after that.
Yeah,
but I just appreciate. I felt like in that moment you coached me rather than managed me.
But you know what, though? A lot of times it's kind of like I'll give you an example of a quiet hockey captain would be Jamie Benn. Jamie Benn is quiet.
Well, he was. I mean, it took a while. I don't think he was captain at that time, so he wasn't a good
Jamie
example
Benn's
for
been
them,
captain,
right?
I think, about 11 years now, but you don't hear anything about. I mean, when everybody thinks about captains, it's Mark Messier, which, I don't know how. The impression I always get about Messier in Edmonton is he ruled with some sort of like almost force, but I don't know. I don't know. With Jamie, you have it to. My understanding is it sounds like that, he listens to the team. He brings it to the coach. This is our concerns. But, when you see him at a press conference, he's really quiet. Mm-hmm. I mean, extremely quiet. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they can get one word answers out of him, it's a big deal. Tyler Sagan, they press a button and, Sagan is just, blah, 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 and that's the wonder of Tyler Sagan. But, and you have coaches, whoever the coach has been, whether it's been Hitchcock, whether it's been Peter DeBoer. Oh yeah, Jamie Benn's the man. He takes care of the locker room. Mm-hmm. And I think, and in baseball, you hear that a lot too, where, when Bruce Bochy will say this about the Texas Rangers. Well, yeah, I'm the manager, but it's their locker room. They have veteran guys, whether it's Corey Seager, Marcus Semien, that they take care of the locker room. There's any problems, anybody not producing, anybody that's, slacking off, they root that out, Mm-hmm. And I think, if you're a veteran person,
which you would consider yourself a veteran person at this point, would you not?
I always like to say I'm the well-traveled fullback here, but the funny part is this business too, is that, the people that we've talked to, Mandee, have done other things, have traveled. I mean, Melissa Kaiser, we talked to recently, morning anchor on KTBB Radio, my place. She's approaching her 20th anniversary at the station, which is
pretty rare.
It's rare. It's a big deal. And certainly if she was in anything except KTBB, she may have been moved by now.
Well, I mean, Lucky Larry's a similar situation.
Yes.
It's amazing that he's weathered all
25.
Yeah. He left and went to Portland for a couple of years, but, has been in this market for, roughly 25 years. And he's weathered a lot of ownership changes. It's been very impressive to see him stick it out.
The bloodletting recently on the national scale has been astounding. Between and I think Town Square is the only place that really hasn't done it. Alpha Media, Audacity recently just did it. iHeart Media, did I say Alpha? I think Alpha, too. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you have, and that was, I'd see stations in the Midwest, places that I'd worked at. One place in particular, you just to see the social media posting from a gentleman who worked in Austin, Minnesota, my first and fourth radio place, and say, there's 6 of us got it today between his station, which was Austin, Minnesota, and Albert Lee, kind of Tyler Longview-ish type thing. They're about 25 miles apart. Both members of that group got whacked, and that's just, that's hard to hear about because that, it's not a line.
It's someone's livelihood.
It's not a line item on a ledger. It's
a person and
that
their family.
person. It's their families.
Yeah.
It's their kids.
It's their career.
Everything. Yeah.
When earlier, we mentioned that we were visiting with John Moore and the topic, and it's come up a few times, of deregulation came up. And I mentioned in our conversation with John that I joined radio after deregulation, but it was pretty soon after. It was within about 5 or 6 years. And, so I was in the beginning of automation and still seeing some things behind the scenes. I used a reel-to-reel to record a church service. So it was kind of like I ran the gamut. I never edited tape.
Yes.
But I was
So you
around.
never had to get a razor blade out, huh?
No.
You didn't have the experience where you had the kit where it's the razor blade, good cellophane Scotch tape or regular splicing tape.
Nope.
In a marker.
Nope. I watched it happen at the movie theater though. I worked at a movie theater in high school before I got the radio job, and we still had film.
Yeah.
It wasn't digital. I think we were beginning to have some digital projectors about that time. So this was about 2000. But we actually got film in the big cans, the big tin cans, and movies ran on film. And so they would splice trailers into the film.
Oh.
And I didn't actually do it, but I was in the room with people who did at the time. I mean, I was the person who was selling tickets at the door or selling popcorn behind the counter, but I was friendly with management. And so occasionally we get to go and see things like that, or occasionally the film would kind of run off track and somebody'd have to go up to the projector and fix it.
Sure.
So I got to see some of that. But yeah, with deregulation, it cut out a lot of opportunities, and it's just slowly atrophied over and over again. And there is hope. I mean, there's still jobs available. And I loved that, John was optimistic and mentioned, there's still a lot of local radio stations and outfits where broadcasters can work. It's just, it's difficult to make a living doing that by itself. And we've talked about that.
Oh, sure.
Times. But it's almost like, if you have a passion for education, you kind of have to have a passion for broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
Especially in a small market.
Yeah.
Because it's, it might pay some of the bills, but it might not pay all of the bills.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like you're going to be in Tyler, Texas and make $100,000.
No.
No, not at all. That's just the way it is. And, you try to do other things, or like, both of us have done the mobile DJ work. Mm-hmm. We've both done voiceovers. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, and I've had times, with doing other things where I go, I can only do so much and I just want to do one job. I've done that too. And I'm doing that right now, kind of, except for this. But
we're not paying the bills with this yet.
But we're experimenting and seeing where, most importantly, where are we going to go with this? Where's it going to grow?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, sure. We're going to plant some seeds and water them and fertilize them and see what happens.
I don't know where to go.
I know where to go. We started with a peanut butter cookie.
Yeah, with the peanut butter cookie, and then it went down.
Earworms. And then it went to YouTube. Okay, so
sometimes music.
West Wing music.
Yeah, well, okay. West Wing clips. I guess there's a couple mashups, and one of them is, I think it's from the second season. It's Josh Lyman gets shot.
Oh, yeah.
Josh gets shot, and then they have clips that are associated with it.
I feel like that happened at like the end of a season, and then the second season maybe opens with the aftermath of that. Is that correct? Like we see that Josh gets shot, but we went like all summer without knowing whether or not he survived.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something along those lines?
I think so. Yeah. And then there's...
Toby shows up on the scene. Gotta love Toby.
And then there's one where CJ gets a death threat. And, like all of this, it's not like she gets it. I mean, she does, but she's ignoring it. So, Janelle Maloney's character, I forget her name now, Josh's girlfriend, walks in.
Mandee.
Yes. It's okay.
Josh and Mandee.
Mandee looks at the screen and says, and CJ said, well, it's nothing. Okay. She walks out. She immediately hollers for Josh, and CJ gets irritated. And then from there, they have the guy who's the Secret Service agent. Played Richard Walsh in 24 the first season with Kiefer. I forget his name. Ron Butterfield was the name of his character, and he always plays cops or agents or political guys. I once saw him as a bad guy on NCIS for a couple episodes, and I was shocked because he played bad really, really well. I wish I could.
We'd look him up on IMDb. We got time.
I should. It's
West Wing is probably one of my favorite. It gives me hope. That TV show gives me hope in politics. And I don't want to get too political because that's just not my vein. But, I have this deep-rooted desire that things work out well. I have hope in government. I have hope in journalism. I have hope in a lot of things. And I recognize that, all of those things are flawed and all of those things fail and that there's humans and, issues. But West Wing, part of why I love that show so much is it gives me hope that the government process, even though, you know, I tend to be pretty independent minded of all of that, it gives me hope that it can work.
Well, I've learned to be independent. I've learned to study, try to study issues. And of course, part of it, you know, you work in a newsroom and you get, maybe bombarded isn't the right word, but you know, you hear things and you pick up things because that's just the way it is. You have to listen to stories. You have to say, you know, I always like to say every word counts because you have to go, well, you know, is this I'll listen to a story and go, is it valid? Not on a political nature, I go, just, is it useful? Yes, no. Okay. Then, you know, fix it for the air, goes in the pile. And I do that about 20 times for the night show.
Yeah.
And then I, you know, drop that with notes to Jerry Jones, and then he puts it together. I like to say, I'm your grocery shopping. The boys cook it for us, you know.
Yeah. So what is it that, I mean, why do you keep returning to West Wing, and did you find the name of the agent?
Oh, it's Michael O'Neill. Michael O'Neill's a character actor. He's been around a long, long time. He also reminds me of a guy named Bill Smitrovich, who's been around forever. I know Bill was,
you couldn't see my like confused eye roll, but Chuck is a fan of the character actor. If you didn't know this,
well,
and he says all of these names all the time, and I'm like, I probably know this person's face if I saw it, but I have zero idea because I haven't done my homework. What's
so interesting about all of this is, I think that I'm pretty good at this, but
what is it that you're good at? I mean, I probably agree with you, but I just want you to name it.
But I'm trying to remember Bill's show because there's one show that he was in. Crime Story. Life Goes On, but Crime Story is when I first saw him. That was back in the 80s.
Well, okay then.
Yeah, okay. And this is where you say I was barely born.
Accurate.
But yeah,
accurate.
Crime Story. And it was one of those where I just loved Crime Story because it was based on 1960 Chicago.
Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
One of the lead characters was a former Chicago cop, Dennis Farina. He passed a couple of years ago, but Anthony Dennison was the bad guy, Ray Luca. But they had great character actors on that show: Stephen Lang, Bill Campbell, a guy named Ted Levine. Now, Ted Levine, Jamie Gumb, Silence of the Lambs. That was one of Ted's first gigs, and I love Ted's voice because it has this kind of different, deep sound to it, and it's hard to describe it. It's just totally different. But that's, Bill Smitrovich is one of those guys who's made a career out of playing cops, generals, politicians, and things like that.
Interesting.
I just think it's interesting because, in a world that's obsessed with stars, you have people that are working actors. They're going from gig to gig to gig
for sure.
to gig.
I'm going to look somebody up now too, because I've got a female counterpart to that's more of my wheelhouse. And she's been in a lot of movies. The one that's coming to mind right now is a Jennifer Lopez film, and I am blanking on The Wedding Planner.
The Wedding?
What is this young lady's name? I'm going to find it. Cast. Judy Greer.
Oh, I like Judy Greer.
Judy Greer. I've seen her in countless rom-coms over the years, and she's great. She's just absolutely great. She's been in a lot of different things. And speaking of The Wedding Planner, if you're a fan of early Grey's Anatomy, because that show's now been on for insane amount of time.
21 years?
Something like that, yeah. Justin Chambers, who was like one of the original cast members and one of the original doctors in training, so to speak.
Yes. But he left a couple of years ago, right?
I think so.
Did he not?
He is Massimo in The Wedding Planner.
Oh.
He's the betrothed to Jennifer Lopez before she falls in love with Matthew McConaughey.
I was thinking of Rotways. You were talking about that. For some reason, this popped in my mind. It's not the proposal.
I love The Proposal, though. It's got my man Ryan Reynolds in it.
Okay, so that's the one and Sandra Bullock?
Yes.
And that's, I think it's probably one of the few movies where Sandra Bullock is remotely painted as a villain. It's hard to hate her. It's hard not to like her.
Yeah, she's like the anti-hero in that film, kind of, because it's like she's the villain, but then she turns out to not be quite as villainous as you think she is. And then somebody else kind of shows up as the villain, and you're like, really, Coach? Coach is the villain?
I always found it interesting with Sandra Bullock. I don't know if you ever saw, there was this the thing where, you know, she did Speed with Keanu Reeves. So she does Speed.
And you mean the film, not the drug.
Yes.
Yes, I'm aware.
No, yes to the film.
I remember Speed, yeah.
And, you know, it's developed over the years. I think a couple of years ago it popped up in, I forget which talk show, probably going to be like Jimmy Fallon, where, you know, they both had a crush on each other.
Oh, they did?
And
That's cute. But they never said anything.
No, nobody ever said anything. Aww. Everybody's professional, walked down the road. Aww. And, you know, Keanu Reeves has developed this
Interesting
good
career.
Reputation.
Yeah.
As a person where, like, let's say, you know, we pose for pictures, right?
Oh, yeah.
If he was posing with you, he would be very careful on where he would put his arm and everything. I mean that because he's respectful of people, respectful of women.
That's nice. That's nice in that industry to hear that.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
you don't always hear that.
No, not at all.
As a woman, media and film and all of that, I think that, you know, I've watched some men, obviously not you, not any of the men that we've had on this show. They're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But there have been a few just outliers that their ego gets in their way, man.
Sure.
And they just say and do things sometimes. And I'm like, do you have women in your life that you love and that you respect? Because the way that you're talking about women, I mean, and treating them and whatnot, it just makes me wonder, like, what's not okay inside of that person, you know? Like maybe there's some sadness or some insecurity or something within that person, and they act out in the opposite way, like overconfident, over ego driven. You know what I mean?
Well, I think it has to be, you know, what were you taught? You know,
that too. What was acceptable?
Yeah.
What did you see?
I guess. Totally. I mean, we were all taught different things. I mean, me, you know, my dad raised me from when I was 2 years old, and you know, those things have imprints.
Sure.
You know, were raised by your parents. Those have imprints on your life too, as far as, you know, how you treat people. You know, you're very empathetic with people. You're very kind to people.
Oh, thank you.
There's no rule that says that, hey, you have to be. There's no, you know, supposedly, you know, there's, you know, we should try to be kind to people, but nobody says you have to be.
You know, Chuck, on that note, I have to say I'm very privileged and blessed and grateful that for the majority of my life, I have been treated with empathy and kindness.
Yeah.
It has been an outlying situation where that wasn't the case.
Yeah.
And so I just have to acknowledge that privilege, because there are people, I realize that's the opposite, that they've been abused or neglected or treated badly. And that's not been my experience. And so it makes it easier, I would say, it makes it easier for me to be kind.
Yeah.
Because I've been shown a lot of kindness.
Well, sometimes people have a bad day. My wife had a situation where she was out, and she was going to be parking. I think she was going to be parking, and she stopped for a second to look at something, and it was in a controlled area, so she wasn't hurting anybody or anything. And she was going to get gas. That was it. And she was parked, ready to get gas. She was looking at something on her phone, probably for a code for the gas tank, for the gas, you know, because she has different gas vending type things that help
discounts and things. Yeah.
And a woman comes up from behind and says, "Are you going to get out?" And she goes, "Just a minute." And the woman calls my wife a witch, so to speak.
Whoa.
You know, and walks, and then.
Because she wasn't moving fast enough, essentially.
Yes. And she proceeded to go to Walmart. And I said to Rosanna, wait a minute. She comes up to you, insults you, and then just goes to Walmart. Yep. And then, you know, Rosanna kind of looks it back, and this person's husband was kind of like trying to be really small in the car.
Embarrassed.
But, you know, I've always felt too, and especially in the world we live in, what that lady did was a risky move. You never, ever, ever know people's intentions. You know, I've never been one, for instance, ever that, you know, let's say somebody drives by me and whatever, you know, get the bird flipped at them. I don't scream. I don't do anything, because you never know people's intentions.
Have you and I had this conversation? I know I've had it on the Celebrating Women podcast a couple of times, but when I'm in a traffic situation, this kind of full circle back to this manifesting audio stuff that I listen to. I try to put things in my mind and in my heart that I will later reflect, because I'm very aware that the input and the output are related.
Sure.
So the things that I'm taking in that I'm seeing, that I'm hearing, that I'm exposed to, I'm probably going to repeat in some way. Like that's a natural human thing. And so I try to put good things in so good things come out, right?
Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
See where I'm going now with this? So
Yeah.
when I'm in a traffic situation and someone cuts me off or races around me or does something just that seems so stupid to me, my initial reaction is frustration.
Yeah.
But then I've taught myself that my secondary reaction, and it generally happens pretty quick now, is to bless that person, just mentally, to just stop and go,
Yeah.
hey, I don't know what's going on in their world today, but I really hope that you get where you're going safely.
Yeah.
And that's my reaction, because I truly don't know what's going on in their world. Maybe they really got to pee.
Well,
I've been there,
but, But,
or maybe somebody's in the hospital, or maybe they got bad news,
Yes.
or whatever. And it's,
you're not them.
I'm not them. And it's really none of my business. I have to just react as safely as I can. And then my hope is that as they go on about their day, that they have positive interactions and that something kind happens to them and that they don't injure themselves or somebody else with reckless driving because they've got whatever they've got going on.
Yeah. I mean, everybody has, positive, negative intentions. My wife, we were sitting there and I said to her Monday, I said, oh, yeah, I mentioned, I said, to somebody at work, you're going to be making cookies. And she goes, yeah, I'm going to start probably Thursday and have them ready for you Friday morning, and which she did. And they just went crazy because she made like peanut butter cookies and strawberry cookies, and they went insane. And I said something about, I said, food heals. Food is good.
Yeah, it is.
And my wife is one of these people. I've with my bum shoulder, I said to her last night, I said, that hamburger you're going to make, you want to just get the cold compress and put it on my shoulder, please. But you're right about, intentions. I think one of the things that's always attracted me to Rosanna is she's opinionated. She is. But she always will sit and put her best foot forward to help people.
Oh, yeah.
We have a good friend of ours that her daughter, I guess about 6 months ago, had a baby. Mm-hmm. And Rosanna found out where she works in town. And yesterday delivered like a 6-pack of onesies.
Oh, that's kind.
Now, she wasn't there at the time, and Rosanna said, okay, just make sure she gets them for us.
Yeah.
Okay. And the person said, yes, I know her well. I'm kind of like her second mom. And Rosanna said, great, here. Tell her that, we're thinking about her and we love her. But Rosanna's like that. And
yeah, she is.
As I've said before, and I'm the counterbalance.
No, you're like that too, Chuck.
I think that
you brought me cookies this morning.
That's
she may
right.
have baked them, but you delivered them.
I didn't.
I have
bake
gratitude for both of you.
That's right. That's right. The peanut butter was awesome.
Yeah.
My gosh.
I'll probably have a chocolate chip before I leave.
Yeah.
Just so that I can officially appreciate both types of cookies.
I am telling you,
it seems fair.
They are fantastic. So what else is popping on your YouTube?
Aside from Ryan and Ryan?
Or is that just enough?
Let's see. Let me just open it up and tell you what pops up
wait
on
a
my
minute.
YouTube. We'll just experiment with it real fast. Let's just see what happens on the phone. This could be dangerous. Let's see. Oh, full supermoon in Aquarius, August 19th. Astrology. So we have that. It ends with us, official trailer. So apparently my phone's been listening to me because here's Blake Lively.
Twisters, watch at home now.
Okay. Ooh. Emma Stone, who I also like. Sarah J. Maas, which if you want to go down a rabbit hole with me sometime, that's where my Instagram feed goes.
Do you get a lot of like AI type stuff, like fake stuff? I've got one for Independence Day 3.
No.
A trailer, and I never knew there was one in the pipeline. That's just me.
The only one I get for that, the only AI trailer I get that's like that is Harry Potter, because I'm interested in the new HBO Max.
I get that.
Series that's in development that they haven't announced the cast for. That one, and then the Sarah J. Maas universe, her novels. I occasionally will get some AI trailers on that because they're supposed to be making a live action film. But in the meantime, all of these very talented illustrators are creating, you know.
Yeah.
You have no idea what I'm talking about, do you?
No, but I'm sorry.
Did you see a dog video pop up on your phone?
How did you know this?
Because I know you.
Okay, so on the Today Show, Roger, an 8-year-old Labrador retriever once deemed as too friendly for police work, has become a search and rescue hero, helping find victims trapped by landslides and earthquakes.
In case anyone was unsure, I do know my friend Chuck McKinley, and we just proved it.
Well, and
he loves dogs.
I do, and I have
cat videos do occasionally show up on my YouTube.
Cat videos, because I have a 6-year-old by the name of Prince, and he is a rescue dog. We've had him for about 5 years. I think he's about 6.5 because he's spoiled, and that's fine. And because one of the first things I'll have to do when I get home, I've got a plan today. The plan is to put a heating pad on my shoulder, watching some baseball. I've gotten hooked on Sons of Anarchy. It was recommended to me.
You mentioned that, yeah.
So I've gotten hooked on that, so I'm going to watch that. But I also, in the course of the afternoon, I'll be walking my little Prince a couple, 3, 4 times around we have
a neighborhood block? We
have a neighborhood block. There's the short walk, there's the medium walk, which is 8, and then there's a 12 block area that we will go. But a lot of it, especially this time of year with the heat, depends on how shadows are.
Oh, yeah, because you're protecting his paws.
But I'll sit there, like last year, oh gosh, when it was 105, I would sit there and walk him. Or I would do a check. I would put my hand on the pavement at 6:30 and just go 1, 2, 3, and okay, we're good.
Yeah.
And so then I would walk him, and then I would lay down with him at night a little bit, and I would check his paws and I would check him for burrs or anything, but I also would check for reaction. Well, he had none. He didn't care.
He wasn't tender, so he was fine.
No, he was fine.
Yeah.
But it was a dog video. And then there was a trailer for something that I thought was hilarious. I have no idea what it is, but it's called Stinky Summer. This has been another episode of The Unknown Morning Show.
I'm Mandee Montana.
And I'm Chuck McKinley.
This is our show to explore radio,
podcasting,
gear,
and the gearheads that use the gear,
and making money with a hot mic,
and other stuff in between.
We'd love for you to follow us on social media as well. Follow us on Facebook at The Unknown Morning Show and Instagram at The Unknown Morning Show. See us on YouTube at The Unknown Morning Show.
Thank you for listening to The Unknown Morning Show.
I'm Mandee Montana.
I'm Chuck McKinley. And remember, be kind and rewind.